But now, a special treat for everybody. We have Big Ian. Is that how we formally refer to you?
Well,
Big
the thing
Ian?
is, nobody can pronounce my surname, so that's what I get, Big Ian. I don't know how much of a treat it is, but you know what I mean. It'll fill a bit of time early doors for you.
Well, you're big and your name is Ian. So
It is, yeah, it
works.
kind of works.
Yeah.
And people don't forget it or misspell it. And my website's bigian.co.uk, so it makes it easier.
Nice. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do then, Ian.
I am a dementia campaigner. I've worked in care. My background was in learning disabilities for 20 years, working with young people. And now I work with old people. So clearly, I don't get on with people my own age. I work for nobody and with everybody. There's so many companies here today who bring me in, and I either make films or I write stuff for them, or I do some team building stuff for the staff to show them how much they matter, or do some stuff to improve their communication with people with either learning disabilities or dementia. And I'm a bit of a Swiss Army knife, really. I don't have one blade. People bring me in and say, we've got an idea and we think it would really fit you and your values. And I get to meet really cool people, work with really cool people, and we create some beautiful things that are used all over the world. So whether that's a training resource that's a film where you spot the mistakes that's used in Australia to instead of an interview for care staff. Because anyone can go in there and talk a good game for 40 minutes. But if you look at something that's got mistakes that aren't hideously big mistakes, but are the mistakes that are going to change somebody's life and make somebody disappear, and then they can spot them all and say how they're going to put things right, then you've got something special and you know you've got the right person.
I think that's really interesting because I think as you get older and you become more vulnerable and you have issues with your health, it's the really small things that make the difference, right? So something that would not have been a problem for you when you were 60 suddenly is a huge problem for you when you're 85 because, and it can be simple things like lips on doors because you can't get your thing over. And, and I found that really when I experienced that with my granddad where we went into a home and it just, the small details weren't right, and that makes it really difficult to have a positive existence because those small details make a really big impact, don't they?
Yeah, you've got to realise what everyone says. You've got to know what people like, but I think more importantly, you've got to know what really grinds their gears, what really upsets them, the little things that really, really spoil their day. I'll not be able to get a sandwich here without mayonnaise. There will not be a sandwich in the NEC without mayonnaise. And that will grind my gears, right? And I just think, why? Surely you would add that, and little things like that. And it's a case of making things fit the person, whether that's for the good of them, or things that they just really dislike.
I have a pro tip for you. Just outside of the Care Show is a Londis. They have duck hoisin wraps, no mayonnaise.
Game on. Well, I'll be there a bit later. But the good thing about this is, you get to meet people who you've not met. And the one thing that lockdown showed us was it was a pretty lonely place to be, and Zoom did an amazing thing, but it's really nice to see people, to get round people. There's a lot of new companies started, which is really exciting. People who've come up with new ideas and during lockdown had time to be creative and thought, do you know what, there's a problem, we're going to solve it. If you walk around all these places, there's a lot of creativity, a lot of new ideas, not of new people to the sector, and that can only be a good thing, because the last thing you want to do coming to the Care Show is sit and talk to the same 8 people that you sit and talk to every time, because now it'll happen. If you meet people who are different, you link up, you use LinkedIn, you use your social media, whatever it is, you've got an opportunity to really pick one another's brains, copy one another's homework, and that's when everybody gets better. And as I say, you've got people, home care, working alongside care homes and we've tried this, it didn't work. We've tried this, it did work, and sharing the ideas. And if you just see, there's a lot of people around here, and it's real positive. I can't wait to get round here and meet a load of people.
Talking about copying other people's homework then, have you got any great ideas, hints, tips that you can share with care providers for something that they can implement really easily? We were talking before to the Outstanding Society, then we're talking about low-cost innovation. Got any ideas for low-cost innovations?
Well, definitely. Everybody needs to be using bespoke Spotify for everybody. we need to have your own radio station in the care home made up of your favourite tunes, and you can theme them and all this sort of thing. For end of life, getting the music route, the soundtrack of somebody's final hours is invaluable. I'm doing a talk about Music 1 Dementia Nil this afternoon, just after 2 o'clock, and I'm going to be hitting on how we can use music. I mean, it's cheap. It's if you want Spotify, it's something like £9 without adverts, or £10 or something, and then you can use Bluetooth speakers and stuff like that, and you can create something. And what it does is it starts a conversation. It says, who does this remind you of? Where were you? You know, what were you doing? Who do you miss? All these things bring people together, because each individual story link up and say, well, where were you in 1978? Where were you when the Jubilee was in 77, when Virginia Wade won Wimbledon? Where were you, you know, when Kennedy was shot? Where were you? And all this sort of thing. And suddenly you've got all these sort of satellites that all go into the same orbit and they become together. And there you get conversations, you find out stuff you'd never have found out. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And using music, and it's so easy. And as you've mentioned, you know, you use YouTube and stuff. YouTube's full of everything. And what you can do, you can just sit down. If someone says, oh, I used to like the Two Ronnies, put on the Two Ronnies. What's your favourite sketch? I like this. And then somebody said, oh, I didn't like Two Ronnies. I like Morecambe and Wise. All right, so you can go there, thump, it's there. I like Tommy Cooper. And it could be absolutely anything.
Pro tip as well then, for if you get YouTube Premium, which is about the same, about £10 a month, you also get YouTube Music for free with that. So then you get a full streaming service and YouTube without adverts, so you're not having to wait and watch adverts with people. So, you know, again, when you want to engage someone in that moment, you don't want to have to wait 10, 20 seconds for the advert to play.
And
it's
like being a genie. Because what you say is, so come on, what's your favourite song? What song do you absolutely love? And then you just go on your phone, find it, play it, and then I go, how have you got that? Because you would only have a finite number of records, you know, your singles box, your albums box, and then suddenly, don't, stop it, stop it, please. And so anyway, tell your grandma, stop it, stop it. Everything was black and white and sepia back then. But the fact that they've got everything at the fingertips, and you can go to it, and then you can do a backing track where they can sing along with it, and then you can do a thing with the words on it, because everyone seems to think there's so many people that have written off people living with dementia, and they think they can't read. And do you know what? Most of the people who I've done some really close work with, even towards the very end of their life, they'll be walking around and they'll say, Care Show. Now, they can't read quietly like you do when you get a sophisticated reader. They read everything they see, they would just say it out loud, and so they can still read. And so I think we should have more people reading and engaging and reading around the table, and then that gets people talking. And we just
play readings, I've heard, is quite a good one.
I used to work for the Home Office for crime reduction in secondary schools.
I thought you were going to say like MI5 or something.
Well, no, I did work for them. And so we had to keep kids in school, and we had to devise a curriculum that really engaged them. And every day I'd say, right, get the kettle on, round the table, we're doing a play at the end of the day, and we would do a play, and all these kids who were like real bother, right, would say, oh, you're doing a play, can we do voices? And all this other, and we would do it, and they'd get lost. And it was all about the flow. And I said, right, when you watch a drama on telly, it doesn't say, you know, can you tell me where the murder was? Oh, the murder was over there. No, I said, can you tell me where the murder was? Oh, the murder happened down at the pub on Saturday night. Vroom. It needs to have that flow. And you've got to pass it to the next person, and they've got to pick it up, and they've got to run with it. And that's what you do if you get people together, and you can do this, and it's a beautiful thing.
So,
if it's
fun
for kids,
it's
right,
fun.
It's fun for everybody, because we're all kids with different dates of birth.
So I think some great tips there. So Spotify Premium, using resources like YouTube, and play readings, I think could be really interesting, easy, low-cost things to bring in as activities to your home to help engage people. Not, like you said, not write people off. Any final thoughts before we move on?
Final thoughts. Well, the fluke of being here this next 2 days is I have 750 free books to give away.
Nice.
So I've got Dear Dementia, which is there. That's a book that's one of 25 books in the world respected for dementia care. I've got that. I've got my Missing Piece book, which is about creating a life after somebody's died. All about bereavement, practical tips, and it doesn't tell you how we should be thinking. And then a pocket full of kindness. So if you come and see me speaking or chairing one of the things, I'll be giving those away. That's how dreadful a speaker I am. I have to give you big bribes.
you give
big
me
bribes.
We'll tell you what we'll do as well. If you give us a few copies, we'll put it on our photography stand.
Yeah.
And people can go to
That'll be lovely.
Get a free headshot. But thank you very much for coming to see us, Ian.
Pleasure. And you're doing a top job, you and your team.
Thank
the
you
ones
very
that are
much.
working hard, not just sit around
just
on
sitting around
Chesterfields.
chatting to
the
people.
guys behind here who are sweating, you know.
Right, so we are now going to go to a VT of Hannah Montgomery, who I spoke to last week.